Listen, are you owed money or maybe property in the state of Tennessee, but you're feeling just completely intimidated by the thought of dealing with the legal system? Look, you are definitely not alone. The courts can seem incredibly daunting, but what if I told you that you could actually secure justice and get what you're owed without ever needing to hire an expensive lawyer? Well, you can. Welcome to this complete step-by-step explainer. By the end of our time today, you're going to have a clear, highly actionable roadmap for navigating Tennessee's small claim system, right from the initial paperwork all the way to collecting your cash. Let's dive in.
So, if you're owed money, you're going to be utilizing what Tennessee officially calls the General Sessions Court. Now, don't let the formal name fool you. This court is specifically designed for regular, everyday people to resolve minor civil disputes quickly, pretty inexpensively, and with all the strict, suffocating formalities of the higher courts. It's essentially a system built from the ground up to make justice truly accessible, even if you are a complete beginner.
Here is our procedural roadmap for today's explainer. We'll be hitting 6 key steps: understanding Tennessee small claims, preparing your case, filing your claim, serving the defendant, court procedure, and finally, after the hearing.
Oh, right. Let's jump right into step 1, understanding Tennessee small claims. $25,000. Believe it or not, Tennessee actually has one of the highest small claims limits in the entire country. It's tied with Delaware. For most of the state, you can sue for up to $25,000 in General Sessions Court. But you know there's always a catch, right? There is a major geographical exception you absolutely need to know about. While 91 counties boast that awesome $25,000 limit, if you live in 4 of the state's most populous urban counties, that's Anderson, Davidson, where Nashville is, Hamilton for Chattanooga, and Knox for Knoxville, the cap actually drops down to $15,000. So always confirm your specific county's limit before you do anything. Oh, and one notable exception here. If you're filing for an eviction or trying to recover specific personal property, there's literally no dollar limit at all in any county.
Moving right along to step 2, preparing your case. Once you know you actually qualify, it's time to gather your evidence. Because, let me tell you, preparation is where cases are won or lost, long before you ever step foot inside a courtroom. But pay attention, because time is not always on your side here. Tennessee has incredibly strict statutes of limitations. Those are the strict legal deadlines you have for filing a lawsuit. You get 6 years for written or oral contracts and 3 years for property damage. But look really closely at personal injury. You have only 1 single year to file a claim. That's tied for the shortest window in the United States. If you miss your deadline, your case is completely dead in the water. Another vital preparation step is figuring out who can actually speak for whom. If you're an individual suing someone, you can absolutely represent yourself. In the legal world, this is called proceeding pro se. But, and this is a big but, if you own an LLC or a corporation, your business is technically considered a completely separate legal entity. Because of that, business entities generally have to hire a licensed attorney to represent them in General Sessions Court. If you try to do it yourself for your LLC, you could actually be guilty of the unauthorized practice of law.
Okay, step 3, filing the claim. So you've verified your limits, you've checked your strict deadlines, and you've got your evidence together. Now it's time to actually initiate the lawsuit at the courthouse. To start things off, you don't need to draft some giant, complex legal brief. Instead, you just fill out a standard form called a civil warrant. First, you'll grab this form from the court clerk. Second, you'll fill in the exact legal names and addresses of the defendant. Precision is absolutely key here. No nicknames, no guessing. Third, write down the clear facts of what happened and the exact dollar amount you're claiming. Avoid vague estimates. And finally, file it with the clerk and pay the fee. Speaking of that fee, filing usually runs anywhere from $100 to $250, depending on your county's specific taxes and service fees. But what if you legitimately just can't afford it right now? Well, as pointed out by resources like the Legal Aid Society, you can actually ask the court clerk for a form called a Uniform Civil Affidavit of Indigency. If the judge reviews it and approves it, your upfront filing fees will be postponed. This basically ensures that a tight financial situation doesn't block your access to justice. Which brings us to step 4, serving the defendant.
This step is completely non-negotiable. See, just filing your civil warrant isn't enough. The court literally has zero power to rule against a defendant unless they've been officially notified that they're being sued. This is known as service of process. So how do you do it? Well, Tennessee law allows a few methods. You can pay a small fee to have the county sheriff or a constable hand-deliver it. You can hire a private process server, or actually use any non-party over the age of 18. And in some specific counties, you can even use certified mail with a return receipt. Whichever route you take, the golden rule is that service must be successfully completed at least 5 days before your scheduled trial date. All right, step 5, court procedure. The big day.
Let's completely demystify the day of the trial, so you know exactly what to expect when you look the judge in the eye. General Sessions Court is very different from higher-level courts. Actually, if you're the one being sued, the defendant, the normal, super strict rules of civil procedure generally don't apply to you here. Meaning you do not have to hire a lawyer to draft and file some complex written answer within 30 days. Your only real requirement? Just show up in person on the exact court date listed on that civil warrant. Now, when you do show up, whether you're the one suing or the one being sued, your organization is everything. The rules of evidence are a little more relaxed here to help out folks representing themselves, but you still have to prove your case. Bring all your itemized receipts, your repair quotes, your photos. And here's a massive pro tip. Always bring 3 copies of every single document you want to use. One for the judge, one for the opposing party, and one for yourself to reference. Your goal is to build a super clear, chronological story that the judge can easily follow.
Finally, we reach step 6, after the hearing.
Okay, let's say you did a fantastic job. You presented a brilliant case and the judge ruled in your favor. Awesome. Congratulations. But remember this, a judgment is really just a fancy piece of paper. The court does not hand you a check on your way out the door. Before you can collect a single dime, there is a mandatory waiting period. Once the judgment is entered on day 0, a 10-day countdown kicks off. During these 10 days, either party has the absolute right to appeal the decision to the circuit court for a brand new trial, which is called a trial de novo. You cannot enforce your judgment during this window. But on day 10, if nobody appeals, that judgment becomes final and enforceable.
Once it is final, you have to understand that it is entirely your active responsibility to track down the defendant's money. The court doesn't do it for you. Luckily, you have a few really powerful enforcement options. You could file for wage garnishment, which legally forces their employer to send you a portion of their paycheck, though that's capped at 25% of their disposable income. You could serve a levy on their bank account to freeze their funds, or you can even request an execution on personal property where the sheriff actually goes out and seizes their assets to sell. However, you need to keep this number in mind, $10,000. Tennessee law gives folks a notably generous personal property exemption. Basically, this protects up to $10,000 of a defendant's personal property and bank deposits from being seized by you during your collection process. It's definitely a hurdle, but knowing about it in advance helps you strategize the smartest way to actually collect what you're owed. As we wrap up this explainer today, I want to leave you with a really powerful thought from our source material. The Tennessee Small Claims Court is a tool designed for your use. It can help you, but only if you take an active interest in your case. Essentially, you have to be the engine that drives your claim forward, from the initial paperwork to the final collection. No one cares about your money as much as you do. Now, while this explainer aims to empower you with all the facts, please remember it is for informational purposes only, and it cannot take the place of formal legal advice. Laws and specific county rules change all the time, so always consult a licensed legal professional or your local court clerk for personalized guidance. We've seen today that the legal system isn't just some locked fortress for the wealthy. There are real pathways built specifically for everyday people to seek justice. So the question isn't whether the tools are there, it's whether you are ready to step into the arena and use them. Thanks for learning with me today.